Anytime you're going to deal with custody in a divorce or a legitimation, there's a number of things that have to be taken into consideration and have to be determined. Um, in terms of custody itself, we have both legal custody and physical custody that has to be determined. So, in legal custody, we're talking about who has access to school records, who has access to medical records, and who's in on the decision making regarding a child. So, if there's a surgery that the doctors recommend, it may be elective, but it may be encouraged or recommended by the doctor. And the question is, are y'all going to do that? And who's going to make that decision? Generally, what we see is a joint legal custody arrangement where both parents have a say in that decision. Usually we're going to have a tiebreaker, meaning that one of the two is going to be able to make the final decision. That's spelled out in the paperwork so that it's very clear and definite who gets to make the final decision if, after consultation, y'all cannot agree. Then we deal with physical custody. Physical custody is where does the child live primarily, and where does the child visit, and under what conditions, and when do they visit, and things like that. So generally, if our judges here in the Conasauga Circuit, Whitfield and Murray counties, if they're forced to make a decision, to decide, then they're going to decide on a primary physical custody of one party and visitation rights to the other. And the visitation rights are going to vary case by case. If the parties can't agree, however, we can see and we can do what we call a split physical custody, or a 50-50, basically, where the child lives with both parties roughly half the time. The other issues with, in addition to child custody, the legal and physical custody, of course, is child support. What is child support going to look like? Child support in Georgia is based on both parties' gross income. So we get an idea what both parties' gross income is. We plug it into a worksheet that takes into consideration how many children there are, other factors like health insurance premiums that are being paid on behalf and for the children, daycare costs, which we all know can be very high. Those things have an impact. And there are other factors. Those are the two most prominent factors that we have to deal with. You really do want to have an attorney to help you through those factors, because you can't just go through the worksheet and figure it out. It's very complicated. Us attorneys had to go to hours and hours and hours of training to figure it out. So I do encourage you, anytime you have children, to speak to an attorney about those issues, because they are difficult issues to get through. Thanks.